Hello everyone, Gunter here, and welcome back to another episode of Gunter Talks. No, seriously. And before we get things rolling, I just want to say, for those of you who watched the first episode, just want to give a special thank you. And more of these are going to be coming in the future. And because I feel like it's super fun just talk about different topics and just like get my words out there than I normally would, but just like with streams or just with Twitter and stuff like that. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy, and those of you who are enjoying, stay tuned for more episodes in the future. And with that out of the way, let's get into a topic that I think is going to go pretty much left field than what I anticipated, because I was going to talk about a different topic, but then I went and saw two movies and thought I might want to share my opinions on these particular movies. And these two movies are pretty old. They're pretty much all in the 80s. So why don't we talk about Caddyshack? Yeah, that's a different topic that you would probably expect. Caddyshack. Why are we talking about Caddyshack? Well, it's because long time ago, maybe like a couple months, I went to my local 7-Eleven, got myself some food and some Gatorade, and on my way out, I saw the DVD section because I was bored, and I looked as like, look at these old $7 movies, and I saw the bundle for Caddyshack and Caddyshack II up there, and I'm like, I remember Caddyshack, and I honestly didn't know they made a second one, and that piqued my interest because, for one, I do like Chevy Chase and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I did like him in that, and then I also saw that freaking Rodney Dangerfield was on there. I was like, oh yeah, I know him. He's a guy. no respect at all. That's basically him. So I was like, okay, you know what? That's fine. I'll pick it up. And the curiosity peaked when I saw that Chevy Chase was in the second one, and I was like, you know what? I might as well just pick it up. So I picked it up, bought it, and several months later, I was like, well, this past weekend, I was like, you know what? I've had this thing for like close to a month. Might as well see what it is. And I watched Caddyshack 1 and 2, and I got some thoughts. They're mostly good, but nonetheless, they are thoughts. So for those of you who have not watched Caddyshack or Caddyshack 2, just going to give a brief overview of the movies before going to spoilers. These movies are just put on and have a good time. And Caddyshack is, in my opinion, slightly better than Caddyshack 2, even though Caddyshack 2 seems to have a slightly more cohesive story plot line than Caddyshack 1. And all the actors are great in both movies. They're pretty funny. And I'm just going to give a small hot take on, it's mainly Caddyshack 1. And I'll get to more elaborate stuff when I get to more spoiler territories. The Caddyshack movies are essentially live action, adult themed Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Looney Tunes cartoon episodes / movies. Am I wrong in saying that? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like if you watch Chevy Chase, you'll see like, it's a bit of a Bugs Bunny. If you see freaking Rodney Dangerfield, you'll see a freaking probably Sylvester the cat. If you see freaking Ted Knight, I think it's Ted Knight. I believe that's him. Ted Knight, the owner, or the judge in Caddyshack 1. You'll see him as Daffy Duck. in Caddyshack 2, you see the father character. You'll see him as kind of like a Yosemite Sam. You see him as a Yosemite Sam, and it's just the kind of list goes on and on. Oh, I think no wait, Judge. I think Judge more of Elmer Fudd. I think the Judge is more of Elmer Fudd, Ted Knight's character. But yeah, I think I see it more of Elmer Fudd in Daffy Duck. But he has way more over the top moments. That's why I thought of him as Daffy Duck. I don't know. But nonetheless, Looney Tunes in live action form with non-anthropomorphic animals, but with actual human characters and actors. And that makes both movies pretty much enjoyable just from that aspect alone. Now we get into spoilers. Alright, so for those of you who haven't seen it, go and watch Caddyshack and Caddyshack II. From here on out, I'm going to be talking about spoilers for both movies. What you just heard was just a very brief overview of my thoughts of the movie. And now we're going to go into much more detailed aspects, and hopefully you guys have seen it. Will hopefully enjoy me talking about it. And if you haven't seen it and you still want to just go through it and say I don't care, well, that's your choice. Hope you enjoyed the ride, guys. So, starting off with Caddyshack 1. This movie is so random. It has a plot. It has a story-driven. It's a story-driven movie, but it feels like it yanks you to the side and say, hey, what's over there? Look at what's going on over there. And it's some batshit craziest thing that happens. And then you pull you right, and then you just slightly try to scoot your way back into the plot. But then there's another arm grabbing from the left side like, hey, look at that crazy shit over there. And then it's just like, and you're just trying to get to the movie. And it's somewhat distracting, but the stuff that's going on the side is like so crazy and interesting. You're like, yo, what the heck? And then it ends, you go back to the plot and like, wait, what? Why did that happen? Why did that happen? And it's like, sorry for the peak. And it's like, it's just cause that's how most movies in the late 70s, early 80s are. There's movies that go and they veer off, throw a joke here, and these jokes land. Most of the jokes land here. And even Rodney Dangerfield's, even though like his jokes are like non-stop, they're more insults. Mostly because his character is basically this type of the guy who has all the money in the world and just has fun. He's literally a child in a 60 to 70-year-old man body, and he's straight up just a kid, just goofy and just out of nowhere. And he just his insults are just non-stop. He's just insulting the Bushwood golf course. It's a private course. And now before I go any further, I need to talk about how this movie starts, dude. The way Caddyshack starts is so interesting, because in the beginning you have Omron. It's made by Omron Studio Productions and stuff like that, whatever. You hear this eerie voice in the back, and it does these, like, it sounds like a type of wailing ghost or just something like that. And I'm like, what the hell? What type of movie did I walk into? And then you see the sunrise, or you see the movie fade in, and you see the sunrise on top of this golf course, and then more harmony comes in, and you realize, like, what the hell is that? Is that Kenny Loggins doing harmony? And then you hear harmony, and you just hear drum beats, and you hear bass kick in. I'm like, dude, is this a different version of "I'm Alright" by Kenny Loggins? And then it's just like, the way you gotta listen. There's videos of on YouTube on the beginning of Caddyshack. Watch that and hopefully your mind gets straight up blown if you haven't seen it, because the way it I was not expecting something like that to happen in Caddyshack. Just, I thought it was just going to be some goofy stuff that's going to happen, and granted it did happen, but not, I thought it was going to happen like right in the beginning, but no. You just had this crazy harmonization of music right in the beginning of the movie, with freaking Mr. Gopher popping out of the hole doing a little jig. And by the way, that Gopher puppet is kind of weird. It's good what they had. It's like a decent effect of what they did with it at the time. But I don't know. It's a nice practical effect. It's fun how it digs through the ground, like I said, an old style cartoon, and like the way it moves is kind of fun. I like it. And then the movie starts, and I'm Alright starts to play, and after that it was just a short little tidbit, and you see a giant family getting ready to start the day, and you see our main character, Danny. You see our main character Danny going in, talking with his family, saying like how he needs to go to college, and he's trying to save up by working at this Caddyshack, and I'm guessing the father is not into that, because I don't know who this guy is. He's talks to him like he is his father, but then he just looks at a kid and goes, "Who are you? Who are you?" Oh, nephew. It's uncle. Sorry. I got confused because the way he talks to Danny, he talks to him like he's his father for some reason. But he's an uncle because in the beginning, he's talking to this kid. He's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Dennis." It's like, "Dennis? Yeah, who's this kid?" It's like, "That's your nephew." It's like, "Oh, okay." But yeah. It's his uncle, but he just talks to him about he needs to go to college like he's his father or something. So that was kind of a distraction. And then the movie plays. He keeps going. He goes to his work at a Bushwood course, private course. Yeah, it just shows his life going through being a caddy over there. And he gets to be a caddy of one Ty Webb, played by none other than Chevy Chase. And let me tell you, I love Chevy Chase in this movie. I love his character so much because he's a guy who has amazing talent for golf and for most of what he does, like piano, and pretty much almost anything you can think of. Pool, which we'll get to in a minute. All these different things. He has amazing talent. He's known as a legend in the golfing course in Bushwood, but he's a freaking dork. He's a straight up dork, and he clumsily flubs his lines. I mean, not lines, his words when he sometimes meets women, and he tries so hard. He tries to impress people, just like trying to act cool, and then it just blows up in his face until he like actually plays golf or does some crazy thing, and he's like, no. Oh jeez, I love Chevy Chase in this. And yeah, in the beginning you telling Danny to like how to become a good golf player and stuff like that. And then we meet Ted Knight. The DVD case is way over there, and I don't want to go and get it. Ted Knight, the judge, comes in, and he starts to inspect the golf course, and you notice the golfer from the beginning of the movie starts stealing golf poles, flag poles for the golf courses, and he starts yelling at a boss to say, "Hey, go do that." And it's like, okay, the boss goes, and he goes and finds a guy that helps take care of the golfers, which brings us to Bill Murray's character, Carl, who I'm going to attribute most of the random side questy, weird stuff from in this movie to him. I'm gonna bring it all to him and say that it is Bill Murray's fault, because right off the bat, I'm not a fan of Bill Murray's character. This is probably, to me at least, the weirdest character Bill Murray has ever played. Like, the weirdest. And because I feel like most of the time Bill Murray plays himself and plays as himself as different movies, Space Jam, Ghostbusters, just like this kind of a guy who thinks he has it all, but he just kind of flubs up and he's like, oh, Groundhog's Day, yeah, he plays himself in that as well. He doesn't really play like a character. He's just kind of himself, but in like a different type of aspect of life or something like that. Here, this Bill Murray turns into this creepazoid type character where he just has his mouth lip on one of his sides and he pervs on these middle-aged old women with the flattest asses I've ever seen. Oh my god, dude. Like it's just, and like in the beginning he just like moves his hand up and down behind a bush and he just talks dirty behind a bush at these old women playing golf, and you pan and you see he's using a ball washer, just pumping it up and down, and it seems like he's fapping, but it's just, he might as well have, and he noticed the camera just switches out the golf ball washer before the camera pans back. But dude, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Carl in that movie. He is very uncomfortable. There's only one thing I like that involved Bill Murray as Carl in this movie, and it's later in the scene where he gets one of the caddies working at the course, and he comes and pins them against the barn door. I guess it's a barn or a garage door, and he has this pitchfork next to his neck, and he tells a story. I literally forgot about the story because because the entire time I'm laughing my ass off about this kid who's like smiling nervously at just looking at Bill. Just looking at Bill and looking down at the pitchfork, nervously like smiling, and I just like kept laughing every time it pans back to that kid. It's just like him nervously like smiling and just looking down at the pitchfork and back at Bill and just like being like trying to be super interested in the story he's telling while being like, "Can you please get this off of my neck?" But yeah, that's where the famous like GIF, if you've ever seen it, of Bill Murray saying, so I got that going for me, which is nice. So yeah, that's where that gift comes from. But all the time, he's just talking about a story that I wasn't paying attention because of that kid's face. Oh, it's so funny. Moving on, we see that Danny was trying to be a part of the scholarship to go to college, yet he doesn't really know what he wants to do. When he gets to college, he says he wants to be a lawyer, but sometimes he kind of thinks that he might not want to. It's just a thing. That's like kind of like what the plot of the movie is trying to go for. But like I said, it goes into these weird side tangents, like Bill Murray perving on old women and trying to get this golfer. And then we go into the left side, which we have Rodney Dangerfield as Rodney Dangerfield, because who cares what his actual name is supposed to be in the movie? He's Rodney Dangerfield, straight up going, "Hey, look at this! Whoever wears this hat is gonna buy sucking dick for lunch," or something like that. That's kind of how he is. That's how he is. I flubbed the joke so bad, but that's how Rodney Dangerfield is. He just straight up goes one-liner after one-liner after one-liner, just going back and forth, and just straight up insults everything and everyone in Bushwood. And of course, the judge is mad. He's like, and he's just like, he's just very this uppity character that feels like he has to have it his way or not at all type of deal. And Danny tries to befriend the judge because the judge is part of the scholarship that he needs to get, that Danny needs to get. So he tries to suck up to him and try to see if like, hey, if you had me, I'd be the guy to help. I need to go to college and whatnot and stuff like that. And he just steadily goes in and just tries to get a scholarship. And at one point he does. I'm just moving past. At one point he does get note of it. He's like, hey, you pretty much are eligible to get the thing. He sucks up so much that, for one, he starts to somewhat ignore his girlfriend, who I forget who plays his girlfriend. That's very unfortunate. I'm sorry, but I do like the girlfriend who is this kind of a somewhat sassy, short-haired type of, not really tomboy, but I feel like it borders line of tomboyish type personality, but she still has a bit of a girly side to her. But he starts to ignore her, which is kind of not cool. But of course, that leads to like him learning his comeuppance and stuff like that throughout the video of why he shouldn't do that, and ends up going looking at the judge's, I think, niece, I believe, and somehow ended up hooking up with her because she has a reputation of being all over the town, if you know what I'm saying. She likes to fuck other dudes. She fucks a lot of dudes. She has that reputation of fucking a lot of dudes, to the point where she even goes after Chevy Chase's character, Ty Webb, where his true nature shines, of him having this nice house of all these different ethical type cultures and stuff, like Japan and India and stuff like that, all into his collaborative bosh, and him flubbing trying to make him a drink of just wine coolers, and him just like flubbing over his words, trying to impress this girl, while in the meantime she's also trying to hook up with Danny as well. And yeah, that's the thing. And I'm gonna go and say one thing about one of the random spots, like the most random thing that can ever happen in this movie happened, and it is when Bill Murray is just out there doing just like cutting, using like a hedge scythe or something, and he uses it as a golf club, and he just like hit flowers as golf balls, and he's like, oh, it's a Cinderella story, he gets it in the hole, and it does it like that. Yeah, that's how he kind of sounds too. And this old man comes in, and he's like, hey, you're gonna be my caddy or what? And he's like, I don't know, Bob. And he just gives him his golf clubs. He's like, come on, we're going to the golf course. And he goes on the golf course, and it starts to rain on the golf course. And for some reason, this old man's just been getting hole-in-ones and just getting good games and stuff. And the rain just keeps coming down. And then Bill Murray's like, there's a few more days of the storm really comes in. I guess we'll keep playing. He's like, all right, I'm having the best game of my life. And he just like comes in, and the rain turns into freaking monsoon, and he keeps playing, and we're at the last hole. It pours down raining, and the guy goes in, does the last shot, but he misses. He gets so upset, he brings his hand up in the sky with his golf club in hand, saying, rat farts! and then freaking lightning shoots down at the golf club and it fries this dude, electrocute this old man to death, and Bill Murray just sees this old man electrocuted in the rain, just picks up the golf clubs and just runs back into the freaking place. I'm like, what? And that was legit the weirdest, randomest thing I've ever seen. And like, all right, I have a feeling it's on YouTube. And if you watch this, you're probably saying to yourself, what relevance does this have to the movie? And I'm going to say it does not. You can cut that part out and really miss nothing of this movie. But I don't think you're going to have a much more famous film part of a movie than that. Like, that still is stuck in my head after watching this movie once this past weekend. Once. And of course, granted, I've seen GIFs of it, but still, seeing that, it's still stuck in my mind. Just him just playing in the monsoon of a rain with these crazy shots. And in the last shot, he misses, he yells at the sky, rat farts, and just gets electrocuted. And I'm like, what? And if you would see my face would have gone like confusion to amusement with how the rain and how he's playing so good in the rain, back to confusion again when it ends with the old man getting electrocuted and Bill Murray running away. And just like, oh, that was the weirdest thing ever. So another side thing about Danny trying to suck up to the judge. The judge invites Danny to to his yacht club party, where he shows off his prize boat, and then Rodney Dangerfield comes in with his crazy motorboat, and he starts going wild with that crazy motorized boat, and starts pretty much wrecking people on that little lake slash lake. And you see the famous scene of a black dude on a boat with an afro, just doing a double take, and that double take with him with his bulging eyes, seeing the boat going in reversed, going and zooming in, but the video is reversed, so you see the boat, you see the wave going backwards, as if this is an early version of freaking Tenet that's coming out that's already out in theaters, by the way. I haven't seen it, but it's like an early 80s version of Tenet happening right before this black guy's eyes. It's like, this won't be happening in another 40, this won't happen in another 40 to 50 years. And he jumps off the boat. And like that's the whole thing. He wrecks the yacht, and the judge is mad. And then Rodney Dangerfield's like, I hate this place. Finally, we get to like the big moment of the movie. You're like, I hate this place. He's like, I hate this place. I'll buy the golf course. And the judge is like, no, you're not gonna buy the golf course. And then Ted's like, you know what? Why don't we set this as a golf match? If the judge wins, he keeps the golf course. But if Rodney wins, then he buys the golf course and stuff like that. So Ty goes and plays with Rodney Dangerfield. And then the judge has his partner, who's I believe a doctor, and I've only seen him a couple times, so excuse me if I forget his name. And yeah, basically the end of the movie is him trying to get the whoever wins this match wins the golf course. And Ty, for whatever reason, decides to get I forgot the reason, but he gets drunk and gets high and gets fucked up as he as the day before the actual competition. He gets wasted, and that affects his play. And then they need a substitute to go in for Ty, so they chose Danny because he happened to be one of the better golf players that was working as a caddy in Bushwood. So like, let's bring in Danny. And then the judge is like, if you play against that team, you're not going to get my scholarship. And Danny's like, well, I guess I don't get the scholarship then. And he plays for Rodney and Ty. And of course the judge gets mad. And it's basically neck and neck at the end. And all while this is happening, it tugs you on the side, say, hey, look, here's Bill Murray trying to blow up the entire golf course with dynamite, trying to get this golfer, because he tried to flood it and it didn't work. He tried to shoot it with a gun and it didn't work. Now he's gone to plastic explosive. So he brings down plastic explosives into the hole. And while that's happening, it's a close game. It's neck and neck. One hole to win it. Whoever makes it wins. Whoever misses loses, and whatever. And the judge goes first, and he misses. And no, wait. The judge makes it. The judge makes it, and he misses. Or, like, the doctor shoots first, and he misses it. And then Rodney... No, it was Ty. Ty makes... Because Rodney Dangerfield needs to be replaced. I thought it was Ty. But yeah. Ty comes in, and he misses. And then this time, the judge goes in, and he makes it. And now it's Danny's turn. And all of a sudden, Ronnie goes, hey, double or nothing. And he just goes, and it's, I think, 800K for now. Because before it was, I think, 200, then 400. And now he bumps it right before Danny shoots his last shot. Rodney just straight up goes and say 800K. And the judge agrees, and then that's where we get the line of the judge, or Ted Knight, I believe, goes up and says, well, we're waiting, and does that. And then Danny shoots, and he goes in, and the ball stops right at the edge lip of the hole, and people are like, oh no, and then the judge gets happy, Danny gets disappointed, then all of a sudden, Bill Murray blows up almost the entire freaking golf course, and as the rumbles and bumbles go up and shakes the earth, so does the ball, and drops right into the hole. And everyone cheers because Danny has won the golf course with Rodney and Ty. And they get the golf course while Ted Knight gets scurried off offset by Rodney Dangerfield's goons. And then Rodney Dangerfield runs up to everyone at the Bushwood golf course and says, hey everyone, we're all going to get laid. And then everyone cheers. And the golfer survives. He does his jig, and then "I'm Alright" by Kenny Loggins plays, and that is the end of the movie. Wow, wow, that was legit. That was legit, like crazy. It's a crazy movie. I highly recommend it. It's funny. I'll probably watch it again just to relive those stupid, crazy moments. And it's a fun time. It's a straight up fun time. And And then they made a second one, which I didn't know. I mean, when I saw the ending, I'm like, oh yeah, they made a second one. I guess we could see how the golf course turned out with Ty owning it, and because you see Chevy Chase in the middle, or in the picture of the cover, and you're like, oh, okay, and so so spoilers for Caddyshack 2. The movie starts, and the credits roll, or actually the movie starts, and basically the caddies are helping out these two girls golf, and this one very uppity girl straight up says to this one caddy, who is our main caddy character. She straight up says, "Go give me a soda," and he's like, "The soda's all the way back at the golf house," and she's like, "Yeah, go give me one," and she is straight up a bitch, and I do not like her, and the kid goes and gets a soda, and the credits roll, or the opening credits roll, as he's running throughout this golf course trying to get this one, what was it, Diet Root Beer soda, off of this one vending machine at the golf house. And I saw in the opening credits, that it said guest starring Chevy Chase as Ty Webb, and I'm like, wait, guest star? He's not the main character? He's not. Wait, what? And then we also see Dan Aykroyd as a guest character. Now, that is appropriate, because I'll get to what Dan Aykroyd. Did I say Dan Aykroyd? Hopefully I said Dan. I may have said something else, but I'm sorry. But Dan Aykroyd, he is proper special guest, because he comes out of the left field. But Ty shouldn't. I thought he shouldn't be a part. I thought he was going to be a main guy, to see his life as the owner of the golf course. But no, he's a guest character, and you can kind of see why with how this story goes. So yeah, after that, Kenny Loggins plays again, the main theme. I think he said Nobody's Fool, I believe the song was. But the chorus, I only know the chorus of this particular song because I heard Danny Sexbang sing it on Game Grumps. It's like, I'm coming all the way. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't want to sing anything else because I want to get copyrighted. But yeah, that's basically how that song goes. And I was like, oh, that's where that song is from, and stuff like that. And the guy comes back with the soda. She drinks a sip of it, drops it on the ground, makes him pick it up, and it's like, fuck. And then you see the girl who wants to fit into this golf club, and she's trying to, but these kids. By the end, she realized they were just all bitches. But in this point of the movie, she just wants to fit in so bad, even though she sees and they are pretty stuck up and snotty. And then they suggest, hey, why don't we have your father be a part of the golf course, since you want to be part of the golf course too. And she's like, I don't think that's a good idea. And then it cuts to him working at a construction site, has a job as a construction auditor with this bright purple business suit. And he's pretty much a trip. I'm just realizing it now. He's basically the character replacement of Rodney Dangerfield, because he kind of has one-liners. He talks in this weird kind of accent, and he's also rich, and he wants to buy off things. So he's basically the replacement of Rodney Dangerfield's character, and it's unfortunate because I straight up forgot the guy who plays the father character. But regardless, the father character works at a construction site. I think he's trying to build. He builds something for the land. Apartments. That's what he's building. He's building apartments for this particular land, and these people at this particular part of the land said, "No, don't tear it down. This is historical, whatever." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." And then, because it seems like it's painting him as the bad guy at first. So it's like, "No, don't tear it down, please don't." And he's like, "Well, this area hasn't seen any nutrients or stuff like that forever. We want to try to make something out of it." And they're like, "No, we need to preserve it. We're not gonna have you just destroy this and all this jazz." And the father's like, "You know what? We're gonna try to build it anyway. You can do whatever you want. We have better lawyers than you and whatnot." And then, what was it? Okay. Turns out that those two people happen to be members of the new Bushwood private golf course. And they find out by the daughter bringing the father in, giving him a tour, and he's like, "Hey, Ty Webb, Chevy Chase, he's playing pool, being an awesome pool player." And then he goes and puts the pool stick. I'm an idiot. He plays pool cool, and he puts the pool stick up, and ends up dropping all the other pool sticks onto the ground as a result. And yep, Ty's back, but he's just a dude in the background. Not really, even though he should have importance, because he kind of owns it now, but he just sits there just like, "Hey, I'm Chevy Chase. I'm Ty Webb. Remember me in the first movie? Yeah. Hi." And he just runs off and does his own thing, and you just focus on the father character, and you meet, I guess, the boss of the true boss of the Bushwood, and this snotty old man, this snotty old rich guy. He comes in, and he already doesn't really like the father too well, and basically the storyline is just the father seeing if he can fit in with the golf course to do it for his daughter, because the daughter wants to fit into this golf course. And throughout the movie, you realize that it's not happening because, for one, those people hate the father, and the father really doesn't care. He likes being who he is, which is nice in his own right. And then after going through, you'll see that there's some funny moments. Like there's a little auction happening where they have a member of the club come in, and they bid them for like auction and charity to have them do like maid type stuff, like clean walls or just vacuum or just simple maid stuff, I guess. But the father the father buys basically everyone in the club, every member of the club mostly, and just straight up just says, "I have something special for you," and he just brings them to his construction site to have him work in the construction site. And that is by far the best thing I've ever seen someone do to anyone with, like, I guess slight pettiness. It's slight pettiness, even though he doesn't really say petty. It's light pettiness, but he still wants to show him that having a hard day's work and stuff like that without having everything your way and stuff. And yeah, it was a fun sight to see. It was like one of the moments that stuck with me. It was like, that's a fun way to get someone back. And then he ends up buying let me go back a bit. I'm kind of skipping over. The people who are a couple members of the Bushwood happen to be members of the historian people in the beginning of the movie, who doesn't want the father tearing down that land. And they go and bring in a lawyer who I didn't realize it was the same person. Their lawyer is also a member of the club, who happens to be the manager of the caddies, which in turn he fired all the caddies, including our main caddy boy, which I kind of forgot to keep mentioning him, because he only shows up very little, except towards the end of the movie, or like towards slightly later half of the movie. And he basically plays three characters that I didn't even know. He plays a lawyer because he has those glasses. He plays a boss, and he happens to try to be the love interest of the daughter. So now that we got that established, the lawyer and his storyman, they are both members of the Bushwood, and they go into the father's office to say, hey, you guys are going to go down if you don't stop trying to build apartments on this land. And, excuse me. And the father has his own lawyer, played by Randy Quaid. And Randy Quaid has his own way of doing law school by straight up threatening the people's lives and screaming at the top of his lungs, saying that he's going to come to their house and break both their kneecaps and makes them wish that he never go against them. And that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny in its own right. So yeah, fast forward to now, where basically the members of Bushwood say they do not like him at all. They're gonna go and straight up take the power and their rights to try to make to build on the land. And the father's response was, you know what, I might as well buy Bushwood then. And he ends up buying Bushwood thanks to a quick cameo with Ty. And he goes and buys it and turns it into an amusement park, which I honestly did not expect at all. I literally did not expect it to make it turn that golf course into a carnival. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting. That's straight up interesting. So he does that. Man, I'm going a lot longer than I thought in this. Sorry about that. But he goes, like I said, turns the golf course into a carnival. And of course, the other members of the club straight up hate that and say, you need to leave. We don't like you. And also the daughter is not happy too, since she did kind of like it the way it is, but she also wanted her to have the father change to what she wanted, which honestly isn't going to happen just because that's the way the father is. And yeah, that's a whole thing. And oh, sorry, I'm trying to blank and remember parts of this movie again. And then after a while, it goes into a back and forth between the owner, or the big manager, the snobby old man, versus the father, trying to see how they're gonna do it. And then Ty comes in and says, "Why don't we do it? Settle this as men with when playing golf." And the father is not a good golf player. In the beginning, you'll see him use crazy high-tech golf clubs and whatnot in order to play golf. And he's not allowed to use those. So he's trying to golf with his own with his own style and stuff. It turns out he has very bad slices, like it goes straight up on the other side to where it just wraps around and hits and goes backwards. So yeah. And then they also brought in the caddy guy, the caddy kid from before, and he's also kind of like the love interest in the movie, and he happens to be a pretty decent golf player as well. And the competition starts. Wait, before that happens, the old man straight up says to, no, he didn't say anything. I'm stupid. He goes and calls in this one guy to try to take out the father. And that guy happens to be Dan Aykroyd as an ex-Marine doing jobs for hire. And Dan Aykroyd is basically the replacement of Bill Murray as the weird character. But whereas Bill Murray was creepy and uncomfortable at most of the time for certain aspects, Dan Aykroyd is uncomfortable at certain points, but he's a lot more tolerable. But he also put on this weird freaking voice, and he just goes into this high pitched voice, and he just goes around and does this, and it is so weird. Keep your eye on the melon. It's fruit. Keep your eye on the fruit. And that's how he sounds. That's how Dan Aykroyd sounds. Watch Caddyshack 2 if you don't believe me. But yeah, he hires Dan Aykroyd to come in and try to take out the father figure. Or not father. I don't know why I keep saying father figure. I should stop that. But he brings in the father. And he goes in and he says, I got these deadly explosive golf balls that I'm going to hit with this special club, and it won't blow up until it hits contact with a certain contact point. And the golfer, the golfer's back. I forgot. The golfer notices it. The golfer notices it, and he starts to mess with the ex-Marine Dan Aykroyd, and it's and hijinks ensue on the background, but it's not as pronounced as the one in Caddyshack, the original. But the golf. Basically, fast forward to the end. This is going way longer than I thought. I gotta hurry up. So fast forward. The father figures out how to make his worst slice his best style swing, and he manages to catch up. And they're at the last hole, and if the father and they're tied up again, just like in the last movie, and the father goes and makes his putt, and he makes his putt, and then the snotty old man comes in, and the golfer somehow quickly replaces the ball that the old man was about to use, and switches out with the explosive one, without them noticing, even though they're literally right above the freaking ball. And I guess they're just telling him, like, okay, you just gotta tap it. The ball is literally right there next to the hole, and stuff like that. And he taps it, it explodes, and they say, oh, well, it's an out ball, so what are we gonna do? And the father wins. He gets the golf course, And the movie ends with the golfer looking at all the people like hooking up. We see you see the boy caddy, or the one dude, the caddy, hooks up with the daughter, and then throughout the movie, the father found a love interest of his own, which I haven't gone into because it's not really that pronounced to me. And he hooks up with her, and then the golfer looks around and he sees a female poodle, and he does these weird freaking sexual gestures against the poodle, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What do you do? That's not cool. And he just kept going for a good 30 seconds or 40 seconds, just going back and forth saying, hey, and he just freaking does these weird motions. And the movie ends on that little scene, and I'm like, why would you end the scene like that? Why do you end the movie like that? That's so weird. And like, it was going pretty well, and then the movie ended like that, and it made me uncomfortable from watching it. It did not make me laugh. Seriously, it made me super uncomfortable. And maybe it'll make you laugh if you watched it. But yeah, that was Caddyshack 2. Overall, a slightly more cohesive story, but still not as funny or as compelling, interesting as Caddyshack 1. So, after I feel like talking for over an hour and a half, I have to go and check and see how long I've actually talked. So after you're talking over an hour and a half, it feels like, if you've seen Caddyshack and Caddyshack 2, what do you think about it? Let me know. And hopefully, if you haven't seen Caddyshack 1 or 2, go and check them out. I feel like you really like the first one, mainly because it's rated R. Caddyshack is rated R, and Caddyshack 2 is rated PG. Yeah, is rated PG, so it got dumbed down slightly. It got dumbed down slightly in Caddyshack 2, which is kind of unfortunate, but Caddyshack 2 still has its fun moments. So hopefully you guys will check those movies out, and if not, well, hopefully my descriptions of those movies kind of helped gauge on if you want to even have a chance to watch these or not. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening and checking out this episode of Caddyshack Talk. And next week, I will definitely see if I can get a slightly better topic to talk about. Maybe. If not, we're just going to roll with it and just have fun with whatever we have. So, again, thank you guys so much for checking this episode out, and I hope to see you guys next time. Take care, guys.